So hi everyone, been a while since we last did a video. So I wanted to do one on the helipilot system or the SAS system on the helicopter, because I quite often get asked, does the helicopter, the 119, have an autopilot, and how does it work? So the answer is yes, it does. Out in the pointy bit of the nose down there are two helipilot systems. Probably wobbling a bit with my hand, sorry about that. Two helipilot systems, two vertical gyros and a rate gyro. SAS 1 or helipilot 1 controls the aircraft in pitch, roll and yaw using one of the vertical gyros and the rate gyro. And SAS 2 just has the vertical gyro to control the helicopter in pitch and roll. Inside the aircraft we have our control panel for the autopilot, which is this thing here. These little things here are the trim indicators, and you can see them moving around as the trim motors are working and the aircraft is keeping us pointing where we're going, along with the switches to turn them on and off. On the cyclic stick we have a 4-way coolie hat trim switch, which makes fine adjustments in pitch and roll, and a force trim release system. The force trim system keeps the controls staying put where they are. So if I push the control, because of the force trim system, I push it, the aircraft will roll, but then when I let go of the control, the aircraft goes back to where it is. So what the SAS system is doing is it's keeping the aircraft in the same position in pitch and roll. So if I roll the aircraft or I pitch it up and down and then let go of everything, the SAS system will keep the aircraft exactly where it is. So let me demonstrate. So at the minute we are pretty much straight and level, 130 knots. If I use the force trim release, move the controls to the right and let go, so now there's my other hand not doing anything, SAS will keep the aircraft same angle bank and the aircraft will turn. If I move it back again and let go, the aircraft will stay put. If I move the control against the force trim system, like so, the aircraft will roll exactly the same, but now all I have to do to go back to straight and level is just let go of the control, and it goes back to level flight again. So, the way we use our SAS system in flight, if we're manoeuvring the aircraft from a hover into forward flight, and a climb, or from a climb into straight and level, or from straight and level back to a descent, we would use our force trim release button to allow the stick to move how we want it to and manoeuvre the aircraft through large attitude changes. Once we've finished manoeuvring the aircraft, we let go of the force trim release, which puts the force trim back on, controls stay put, and then we fine tune what we're doing using our coolie hat. So at the minute the aircraft is straight and level, 1500 feet. If I push the trim slightly forwards, the nose will go down a touch. That'll give us a bit more speed and we'll start descending. And if I pull it back, or push it down rather, the nose will come up and then I'll correct that, push back straight and level. So in a straight and level cruise, all you're doing is you're letting the aircraft fly itself. The SAS system, you'll see from the indicators, is compensating for any external force that's being applied to the helicopter, i.e. the wind, turbulence, all that kind of stuff. That's all being smoothed out by our SAS system, and the force trim system is just holding everything in place, so I can take my hands and feet off the controls, and the aircraft is still doing exactly what it was doing when I started talking to you. Nothing has changed. So what this does do is it dramatically reduces the pilot's workload when you're flying along, and it allows the aircraft to be flown very accurately with minimum effort. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn all these systems off just to demonstrate how the aircraft flies without these systems turned on. So I'm going to switch the camera off and mount it on the bulkhead, so I'll be right back. Right, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to turn all these systems off just to give you an idea of how unstable the helicopter becomes once everything's off. So, hands and feet on the controls. First thing I'm going to do is turn the force trim off. So with that off, you'll see the caption come up. There we are, force trim off. So now, I've got a wobbly stick. There's nothing holding the control in place at all. It will pretty much stay put because they're hydraulic controls, but I can move them freely without any interference from the force trim. The next thing I'm going to do is turn off SAS System 1. Now SAS System 1 does pitch, roll and yaw. So SAS System 2 is going to take over on pitch and roll, but we're going to lose the yaw SAS. Let's turn that off. There we go, there's the caption. And straight away what you might pick up is a slight wobbling or rolling of the aircraft left to right. And that's now because our tail rotor is not, or our yaw control is not doing anything to compensate. And when I turn SAS 2 off, the aircraft gets very wobbly. Now straight away, you can probably see the helicopter gets rather unstable. It's not designed to be flown with the SAS off. It can be flown with the SAS off in the event of a failure, but it does become rather unstable. If it ever becomes too unstable, you can just slow the helicopter down and it becomes more stable as you start flying slower. I think I've just about smoothed that out. So let's put the SAS back on. We'll have SAS 2 back on, and SAS 1 back on, and the force trim back on again. And a little adjustment in pitch. And there we are, hands and feet off the controls. Helicopter's flying itself again. I can sit back and enjoy the view. So that's how it all works when it's switched on and switched off. What it doesn't have is what are called upper modes, sometimes referred to as a flight director. So all the autopilot is doing is keeping the aircraft stable and steady. I can't program it, so I can't give it a flight plan and ask it to fly it, and I can't select an altitude or a heading and ask the aircraft to fly it. All it does is just keep us very, very, very smooth and stable in whichever attitude and direction that I put it in. But it does dramatically reduce pilot workload and make life very easy. That'll do us, and I'll say goodbye. Bye bye. Bye bye.